Gather, veterans. It's time to join the fight. The long war begins.
This is The Long War. I'm Rob Baer, and joining me once again are my partners in crime, Kenny Boucher and Wyatt Turk. What's up, guys?
Yo, dog, great to be here.
Hey, everybody, what's up?
Hey, Wyatt's back. He just disappeared for a minute.
Yeah,
He's back.
I was sitting here the whole time.
The whole time.
I didn't leave at all.
To anyone at home not watching this, and that joke didn't land.
I was going to allude to it.
Good. Also, this is our new day. So if you are listening to this podcast in your car on the way to work and like, why is it like, Friday now, not Thursday? It's because now we record on Thursdays officially. Anyone who's watching live, it's still the same time, 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern. We expect to be pretty low traffic for the next couple of weeks. That's fine. GW is also being low traffic.
Super low traffic. It's definitely famine-y out there on the cool and exciting stuff. I hope they got something cooked up. We'll see.
They have awesome new Legion dice.
Stop it.
I don't want to spoil. I'm not sorry. I'm not trying to spoil our hottest news item today.
Jeez.
My bad.
God, yeah. Why else?
So at the start of the show, Wyatt actually looks down because I try to stare at him when we're doing the pause.
And you also been fucking up the intro like every time. So I'm just like,
it was
I'm
like
not even
twice.
It's like 3 weeks in a row.
In like 7 years, I fucked it up like twice.
Yeah, and it's all because of this dumb face game that we play on the live stream.
I just forgot what I was doing.
Okay.
I'm a creature of habit.
I mean, you're a cold-blooded creature of some kind. We've established that.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Oh, what are these words? Oh yeah, I guess I got to do the outro tonight too. So that's fine. Whatever. That's future Rob's problem.
Yeah. We haven't gotten there yet, but you'll do it. You'll knock it out of the park. Don't worry.
Can I say nailed it afterwards?
Yeah.
You can say whatever you want. You're the leader.
Ugh! Don't put me in a position.
You're totally in charge. You're absolutely. But look, table of contents. We're going to do a tabletop marketplace. We're going to do a joke. But tonight we're going to be doing a hobby AMA. Sprinkling these in when necessary. Today's a slow news day. And we have Rob here. So he gets to offer his fast hobby insight as the hobbyist formerly known as MBG, Amboy Genius.
Yeah. He's been hobbying since you had to like crush your own pigments and make your own paints.
Yeah. It's been a while.
There's some cave paintings in Australia that are Rob Baer originals.
Now you just go down to the store and you just buy a pot of paint. It's like the best thing ever.
Kids don't know. All right, fuck it. Do it.
Do the thing. Gotcha.
Do the thing. Somebody talk.
Would you rather real bullets come out of your fingers whenever you do finger guns, or real music comes out whenever you do air instruments?
One of these is vastly more funny than the other, but one of them is vastly more useful than the other. Now, follow-up question. Do I get to decide what music plays when I do air instrument?
Real-world musical expertise applies. So if you're going to play air guitar, it's going to sound exactly as if you had a real guitar on your hands. So if you are bad at guitar, it's going to sound bad.
Same with guns?
But yeah, I mean, like if your aim is off, then sure, yeah.
I mean, but like caliber wise, like, am I mentally? Do I have to like? I'm doing like finger rifle.
It's finger guns.
It's exclusively 6-shooter finger guns.
Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And do you always have to do the finger gun?
Yeah.
Movement?
Yes.
There's no
aim that.
There's no aiming like down a scope of your face.
I mean, if you want to do like the old like hold it with one hand, you can do that too. Okay. It's a finger. Yeah, that's a finger gun. You don't have to do like.
So I don't have to like.
No.
Okay. Is there recoil associated with finger guns?
Are these striker fired finger guns?
Yeah, sure. Let's say there is.
Infinite ammo finger guns, for the record.
Yeah. You gotta like recharge with a long rest.
Could I accidentally fire off a shot with my finger guns without realizing it?
Yes.
Like if I just was going to point at something and didn't realize it was in finger gun position, would I accidentally kill somebody?
That's
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. I mean, just like a real gun.
Yeah, that's
gotta be careful.
good. I mean, I poured disinfectant in my eye the other day. Like, I can't be trusted with that kind of power.
Right.
You're definitely going to act. One day, you're going to be talking about something, and then you're going to be miming, and you're going to be like,
No, worst day ever. Yeah.
Yeah, if there it is, done. Nah, I'm going with the air music. It'll be terrible, but at least it'll be funny.
Yeah, I'm leaning toward air music because it's also hilarious.
So many bad things can happen. I'm not prepared for that.
No, I know for sure at some point in my life, I'm going to fuck up with these finger guns real bad. I'm definitely going to shoot myself in the dick by accident. No doubt.
That isn't what I was thinking, but yep, that too. All right. Well, that decision is cruel. That ain't right. Want to talk about some awesome new releases?
Yeah, the Rob Baer Memorial Disc. Recently reincarnated, revived.
I only missed 2 shows. Like, I missed 2 shows.
We went down to his basement and we pulled out Clone 37A, and he's back now.
Project Phoenix Lizard.
Phoenix Lizard.
Yeah.
Yikes. Anyways, so Games Workshop does have some new releases, 2 fronts. Probably by the time you're hearing this podcast, the Horus Heresy stuff will already be out, because probably in about 6-7 hours from now, it'll go live on the Forge Worlds website. So the new Book 9 Crusade, featuring the Dark Angels and Night Lords rules. Also, Lionel Johnson will be out. We're not sure what the pricing is going to be. I think Book 8 was $125 when it came out 2 years ago. I could be wrong. And they also announced that the faction dice for all 18 of the legions will be re-released all at once this time, which is super nice, because if you play Horus Heresy and you wanted to get some really sweet looking dice for your faction, they were previously available on eBay and they were going for like $90 a set, which is just silly. So you can scoop them all up now. I don't think there's any. Yeah, there's only the 18 legions. So if you're AdMech or something like that, probably not so much for you. So on the GW side of things, they're busting out the new Lumineth Realm Lords this weekend. This is going to be wave 1. They said that next week will be wave 2 on their Facebook. So if you don't see like the big battle cows, and I think the cavalry aren't coming out this week. I think there's a caster or 2 as well. The dude sitting kind of looks like a kung fu monkey guy.
Literally no idea of what you're talking about.
But he's got his legs folded and he's like floating on rocks. He looks pretty sweet. He was not in this release either. So first up is the Alarian Sentinels. Those are going to be $60 a box, and Archmage Teclis will be $170. So join in the elite group of $170 models. Something else. Alarian Wardens, those are another troop box for $60. The Sentinels are the bows, the Wardens are the spears.
Okay. How many per box?
You get 10, I believe. It might be 20. I don't know. I haven't looked.
All right.
I don't think they have said. That's actually a good question. The OCR Bone Reapers were 20 to a box for their troops for $60. So chances are they might be 20 as well. The new caster, Skinari Kalthar, $30 US. The Light of Altharion, that's the animated suit of armor. It looks pretty fresh. It came with the army box. $40. The new Battle Tome, $40. War Scroll cards for $25. dice set for $35, Endless Spells box for $35, and a new Realm Lords hardback book from Black Library for $27. I would like to draw attention to the fact that there is a Black Library book for the Realm Lords coming out this week. So we know that in October, second week, there is also a book from coming out for the Gargants, which are the giants. So chances are the giants will come out probably the second week of October-ish, because we've already seen that on pre-order for Amazon. So another faction release right around the corner for Age of Sigmar. If you don't play Age of Sigmar or you don't play Horus Heresy, well, there might still be some stuff for you that's not necessarily, we'll say, full-on GW. The Bandai announced that there'll be 2 more of their action figures coming out. One's a Salamander and one's an Imperial Fist. The good news is that there isn't going to be any limit to them, pre-order wise. So I think the Ultramarine one was capped at 9,000, and it actually stayed up on the website for a couple of days. I think it came down on like Sunday evening. I was actually able to pre-order one pretty late in the day on Saturday when they came out. So they're saying that they're going to honor all of the orders for these. Now, I don't know what that means. There's no cap to their deal with Bandai, or they just don't expect 9,000 of each to sell. Who knows? I don't know. But they do look cool, and they do have some different weapon options for their shooting McBoom booms. We'll call them that. They have a
solid.
The Salamander guy has like an ornate like Artificer bolter, and the Imperial Fist has an auxiliary grenade launcher with the shells on the strap, straight up Sarah Connor style. Looks pretty cool. No word on the pricing of them, but the one last year was $100. Currently going for $250 to $300 on a secondary market.
That's
yikes.
Rookie numbers.
That's our rookie numbers. You have to spend money to save money.
Get out of here.
Oh.
Hey, nothing.
So that's it on the kind of like the GW side. Now, if I had to guess, I would say it's going to be slow on the 40K front. We know this is going to go on pre-order September 13th. It's unlike GW to go on the whole month without putting out something 40K-ish. We know that Marines are going to come out and Necrons in October. Probably not the same week. Who knows? So my guess is that this Bandai release is either their 40K release for the month, or we'll see that terrain box along with the new Crusade book and along with the new, not organized play. What's the other word for it?
Match play
supplement books the same week. And I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to try to pigeonhole the 6-shooter Hexmark Necron guy in outside of the Necron release in with something else. But I haven't dialed it in quite yet. It may be the train set, because remember the Gene Stealer Cult guy came out with a Kill Team box originally. So they may try to just kind of shoehorn him into something else before or after the Necron release. But it's hard to tell what exactly is going on now, as far as that goes. Outside of the world of Warhammer, there's actually a pretty robust lineup of new releases coming out. So on Creature Caster side, their King of Malefica will be out or on pre-order September 10th. Apparently it's going on pre-order for a week, and then they're going to kick it out the door. There's actually 2 different ones. There's the Ascendant version, which is going to be $119 US, and the Resplendent version, which is going to be $149. And it is all sorts of busy. It's like a whole scene, like these flame demon things have opened a book and created this portal, and this like huge like demon of change is kind of like busted through this portal, and he's like juggling all sorts of different things. And he's got scrolls, and he's got like a crazy book that's almost alive himself. And there's lots of tentacles and wings and feathers, and I don't even know. Like, it's a very busy model, and we'll see tons of these painted up with all sorts of different amazing looking colors, which I do like, because, like you guys know, like the Queen of Onslaught, like you're going to see that painted up like dark, maybe some reds, but like with this model, you're going to see it all sorts of different. You're going to see some pinks. You're going to see some violets, you're going to see some blues. I mean, how would you guys paint it? Like green? Kenny worked green in there, I'm sure.
Yep. I've never not painted green on a model.
So I feel like the potential for this model to be painted very differently across, the hobby sphere is very high, which would be really fun to see. So check out Creature Caster for that one. Hobby supply wise, the Army Painters Master Classic Dry Brush set will be out, I think September 12th. Yeah, they're pretty sweet looking. So there's 3 different sizes. I think it's 7 mil, 12 mil, and a 15 mil poofy brush. The high quality goat hairs. They look pretty cool. They're a little shorter than I thought, but I mean, it's a dry brush. Like, who cares? It's you don't need a lengthy handle or anything like that to get it done.
The Masterclass Mighty Dry Brush, 3 sizes. There's a big one, a medium, and a small one. There's definitely a type of dry brushing you can do with these, like more of like a stippling type of dry brushing. Like, I think the idea is that you could just straight up kind of almost emulate airbrush with these effects.
Interesting.
Like, that's like kind of the style at least. Like, it's not like you don't need to just pull it out and just like, I'm going to do this final dry brush. And you absolutely can kind of raw dog it all the way up by using the softer, rounder brushes of different sizes. So I've seen a couple people do some amazing things with them online that I would have never thought of. So I'm finally excited to have them in hand so I can review them.
They're really helpful for just doing dry brush technique that doesn't add streaky texture to your models. Like, I did all of the bone texture on my Mortarion's wings. So I used the zombie dragon wings on him. So you get that nice dry transition bone texture without having like actual streaky paint buildup on a regular hard bristled square tip dry brush.
Yeah, I sometimes I use the chisel tip ones for washes to apply wash too. So those are Army Painter has those too, but nothing too new about those. There was also a Humble Bundle offering that's out right now, but when here, I'll run it down because I actually have it pulled up. So it's $185.99, and that gives you 40K Space Marine, Dawn of War, basically all the first Dawn of Wars and all the second Dawn of Wars. But when you price it out, it seems like it's a little higher, and they kind of want you to get the monthly subscription thing, so you save on it. It's not like a super deal as some of the other ones have been. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like, if it's something, that you just want for something to do because, we're all kind of stuck, it might be cool. But if not, there's definitely been better values on the Humble Bundle in the past, I feel like. Just kind of something to keep in mind right there. And I don't know if you guys remember the old Dreamforge Games Eiserkern models. They did a Kickstart.
Sort of, yeah.
They basically had plastic knights before GW came out with knights.
There were 6.
And then they like screwed together, and they're a couple different sizes. And then they did infantry called the Eisenkern. I think there is how you pronounce them. So that kind of has been off the market and really hard to find as of late. So it looks like that they found a new manufacturer or partner in Wargames Atlantic, and they have kind of retooled the sprues, and they're a little bit.
Do they look the same as they used to?
They look pretty much the same. They're just a little off scale wise. Like, they had a comparison of one of the old Dreamforge ones from 2013 to one of the 2020.
Like, their knight was really cool. Their vehicles were pretty neato, but the infantry were a little too World War II German looking for me. So I don't know.
Yeah, they definitely started.
I don't know if I would get into those now, because it's like they definitely evoke a like future Nazi.
Well, they do still have that styling. kind of like a cross between World War II German and maybe like a Imperial Stormtrooper from Star Wars, like helmet wise.
Doesn't really help when you think about it, but yeah.
Yeah, nah, it's true. So they are coming back. A lot of people have asked about them. You know, you hear it from time to time, like, hey, are these still a thing? And I'm like, no, not really. But apparently they're bringing back the base box, and they have plans for another faction which looks to be communist in nature. So we'll see. I would like to see some of the vehicles personally. That had like some half tracks that look pretty dope. But
Dreamforge.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I mean, this is slated to be out in December from Wargames Atlantic, and the best thing is it's $35 for I think like 20 models. So it's silly value. Like when it comes to troops, I don't know. Check them out if it's your thing. Some people have never seen these models before, so it'll be cool to see, you know, kind of how, you know, a lot has changed. Shoot, we get new hobbyists every like 9 months. We get a rollover. So, you know, it's been years since this stuff was readily available on store shelves. So it'd be cool to see.
Discovering some secret third-party market's always exciting.
Yeah. I mean, I used to like walking around Toys R Us just to look at toys to convert. And I super used to love to go into game stores that had rando stuff on the shelves from like years past. Probably not a good business practice, but for the collector and, you know, converter. And
that was Reaper's entire business model. I feel like in the late 90s, early 2000s was that they had like so many pewter models that were like all over the place that you can go and find like the perfect, like weird winged demonic guy with a sword. I remember converting dudes to make my lords with demonic mutation wings and the dark blade back in the day off of those models, and people being like, where the fuck did you find that? I was like, I'll never tell you, motherfucker.
Find your own. But yeah, no, that was half the fun. But so check them out. I feel like the price is right as far as that goes. On the Spiky Bit side of things, if you pre-ordered one of those Demon Knight Slayers, those should be all in the mail in the next couple of days. So we have pretty much got them all out the door, and we'll have some extras to put back on the site if you missed it the first go around, and then we'll start up on all the Lord of Hates, the not baby hates. If you're watching Kenny's stream that we sold.
There's only one baby hate.
There is only one baby hate. He's adorable.
Shout out to Gons Unjust on Twitch. It's his now. He owns it.
Oh, he got it? Nice. So, yeah, we'll start on those, and then we'll have another big run of miniatures. If I was a guessing man, I would say it's going to be a 4-model bundle of some very useful operatives.
Oh.
So look for that. Oh. Look for more on that here soon. That's all I got.
Sounds like some assassin shit.
What? I didn't say assassins. Gosh.
Totally not assassins.
Or they are assassins.
I got an update. Huge swaths of time have been passing between my studio updates for my tutorials. New one just hit. The Long War and Patreon. Another 40-minute video.
Oh, heck yeah.
Painting the that Warcaster Firebrand, that like Warjack. Put some time into it. Finally got it done. I think honestly switching the dates on the podcast actually gave me the energy I needed to finally push it out door, and it's pretty fucking cool. Sick ass. Kind of rediscovering the my love for P3 paints and like kind of War Machine as a aesthetic or a miniature line in general. Like some of those like interesting character designs. So like that was a fun paint job. It's a big block of pewter, very Infinity-esque, like in that like feeling, but like honestly,
it's like if War Machine was Infinity.
Yeah, but like honestly, it's better. Like as a block of pewter, like I was blown the fuck away by the quality. I was like, I did not remember War Machine like Warjacks being this tight. So like I was pretty fucking impressed. That video's out, 40 minutes long, top to bottom.
Dang. Seems like a good system.
That's my update. You got anything, Wyatt, before we jump into our AMA?
I don't know. Still house hunting. Painted some of my brand new custom Blade Marines, so that's pretty hype. Get a one of a kind army finally.
We need some code words for them, like baby hate.
I just call them like retro style because I commissioned the guy to make them based on the 1996 Plague Marines.
Retro plague soldiers.
Yeah, I just been calling them like Plague Boys.
The 96ers.
The 96ers. Love it. All right. Well, we mentioned this earlier, slow news cycle. So we're going to jump into an AMA, hobby AMA. We're going to be relying on the live chat. We have about 200 people across all platforms engaged right now. So if you're listening to this at home on your way to work and you feel like this is something you want to be a part of in the future, you got to watch it live to be a part of this. So we're opening it up to the chat, start populating with AMA questions.
Oh yeah, I had Monument restock on my list here, but I couldn't read my own handwriting. So they did get a restock of paints in. Someone in the
So yeah, now that they handle their own restocks now, so it's finally begun now where restocks are going to be much faster. We've hit that moment, and Monument Hobbies might come up several times in this AMA. So
yeah.
Here we go. Here's one for Wyatt. Disflex.
Yeah, what mini company makes the coolest counts as totally not Chaos Spawn and Possessed? So it's largely going to depend on the theme. For me personally, since my guys are really leaning into the kind of older, goofier side of Death Guard, I'm actually using the Nurgle Blood Bowl fatties for my Chaos Spawn. And when I was looking for Possessed, I looked pretty all over, and I could not find any really. So I just used the Gal Vorback from
those are great
from Forge World for my Possessed.
Could use Greater Possessed too. You could probably get them cheap from Shadowsphere.
Right. And Disflex, the person who asked that question, important thing to remember is anytime you do accounts as, it's all about the intent. It's like, do you intend to save $1 or do you intend to augment your army with something fresh? So that's like my biggest suggestion whenever you go into accounts as unit world. You should always remember your intention should be to be fresh. And if you remember that, there's a lot of options like Cromlech, honestly. Remember those guys?
Yeah.
If you just scroll through their horribly laid out web store, you'll find solid half a dozen of strange, plague-esque, kind of like amorphous demons.
Yeah.
GW itself, though, has all sorts of cool things, as Wyatt mentioned, that can be totally counted as.
Right, yeah. I mean, like, you could also use, if you're playing Death Guard, you could also use the fatties for Possessed, because they have, like, little helmets and shoulder pads, and they're bigger. They have the Pastigores also in that team box that could be Chaos Spawn or whatever. You know, and like what I'm doing is like I'm getting my money's worth, so I'm actually going to be using the zombies as poxwalkers. So I'm using every model from that box for something to get my money's worth. But I don't know, man. Like Possessed is a hard one because I looked.
What about
and I couldn't find any that were,
the old plague Ogren?
No, we're talking Possessed, not Spawn. Possessed.
I guess they're too chonky.
Oh, I mean, they're gigantic. Yeah, I used them for my Spawn for years. Too big. Yeah, Possessed. Like, that's a good question because Possessed do kind of suck. They're outdated.
Super bad.
Now, it is what it is, but you know, you're into it for a solid kit bash. Is all I'm saying. Like, go on a journey, look for some alternate, look for some companies like Cromlech and the Puppets Wars and the 3D printing market for add-ons. You could probably do a lot with just a base Chaos Space Marine and some dope augmented parts, honestly. If you were looking for something really traditional and not Death Guardy, for example. But me and Wyatt have
that's-
Death Guard on the brain right now, so.
Yeah, you do. I'm all like.
I mean, when I was
squeaky.
looking for Possessed for my Alpha Legion, I really couldn't find any like third-party companies that really even make something like Possessed. Weren't straight just demon models, to get the feel right. So I just ended up going with Galvor back.
Here's one I'm going to throw at Rob. Skeletal Commissar. How do you paint green blood?
Green blood? Why? You're like the king of green. Why are you coming at me with that?
I don't really paint blood effects. Like, I don't like them.
So here's a cool little trick. My way does not give you the like freshly slayed glistening blood effect, but I always like the idea of Space Marines kind of crossing over with Starship Troopers. So like on my Marnie's Calgar, he kills a Tyranid. There's a Tyranid on his base. And so what I did is I just took yellow green paint, bright, like necrotite green. You take a little bit of it in a toothbrush or a paintbrush and you flick it onto the model. Or you can use your airbrush to just like puff some air onto that brush and like spray little sprinklets on your model. It's going to dry matte and you can hand paint gloss varnish over it to make it shiny if you want, but that's pretty much, I was like, when I thought about how to do it, I just thought of the scenes from Starship Troopers and the bug blood that's like neon green and neon orange. I don't know how to do like realistically green blood effects. I mean, you could probably use like, I forget what that stuff is called. Some people use it for like doing actual dripping blood drop things like
the Ulu glue.
Yeah, that stuff is a real pain in the ass to work with unless you're doing like a one-of-a-kind diorama model. But yeah, you can always just like flick it on there with like a toothbrush or something, but it'll dry matte.
I saw Stiff Neck Studio did an Instagram post where they mixed the Plague Bear contrast paint. I forget, Plague Bear or something. It's kind of like sewer water look, and the new Necron glow, necrotite glow, that really poppy green, and they mixed it in with little I think it was clear effects for doing like water effects and such, and those bases turned out really great. So you could kind of do something like that if you really want to.
Actually makes sense. You have to be a little bit more deliberate with your placement, but yeah, that's an interesting formula.
You could use some little swirls and stuff, just kind of.
Here's one for you, Rob. You already commented to it. Protoman 2K. What's a good Chaos Spawn alternative?
Oh yeah, if you're doing Nurgle, probably this Plague Augurin if you can find them.
Plague Augurin, yeah, I used 10 of them for years, exactly like that. They were fucking sweet.
Yeah, and then
I really like
you're
them.
Using the I don't remember what are you using?
I'm using the Gellerpox right now for because I'm running Death Guard Nurgle Spawn on my list, and I'm using the Gellerpox, the four guys that came with the Gellerpox.
Actually, I do have an answer to that from an army I did at the start of 8th edition. I actually used some WizKids Nolzur's pre-primed miniatures. Displacer Beasts, if you don't know, is a D&D monster. It's like a panther with 6 legs and like tentacles on its back. They fit on a base size for Chaos Spawn very easily.
Don't forget Chaos Spawn 50 millimeter base.
Yeah, 50 millimeter base.
Just to the chat, just to the Protoman 2K, 50 millimeter.
Right. So yeah, like I use those for 1,000 Suns army that I did for a friend of mine, and they're like $1. They're super cheap. They're not great models, but you airbrush them a bright neon color, they look like a demon thing. So maybe check out some more of those like WizKids pre-primed models for some D&D monsters.
Yeah.
Find some cool Chaos Spawn-y stuff. I mean, they're literally undefined. They could be anything. I've seen people be like, here's my Sneech ones that are like an unknowable horror that's just made out of like shapes that they painted in really weird colors, and it worked.
Yes. Rob, how would you do this? IK959. Any tips on matching color schemes that someone else has done? Like I'm imagining like you got some models in and now you want to like add a couple units to the army. And you have no idea what was used.
I've never done that.
That's never
had
happened
that problem.
Yeah.
Never, not once. So step 1 is call Kenny. Step 2 is he'll forget, and then you'll have to figure it out yourself. Now,
accurate.
It's what you want to do in a lot of cases, depending on the style of the artist. Like, just kind of flip the model over and look on the bottom. You can see some clues as to like washes used, overspray or underspray at the airbrush possibly will give you like some of the base coats. You might see some different details in like the cracks, like if it's marine. That's
interesting. I never thought of that. Flip it upside down and kind of see what like he didn't paint and what he had left over. That's some investigative skills. I like that. Never thought of
that. You can piece it together relatively quick, and then like if you know the artist,
and you can assume most people used probably Citadel paints because that's hyper popular
in a lot of cases. Or if it's an artist you're following, you're familiar with their stuff. They may have done some updates, or you might just know, hey, this dude uses this brand of paint kind of exclusively. So let me narrow it down to that. And then just start kind of piecing it together and do a test model and go from there. And always write your recipes down and get you a nice little, mine's obviously seen better days. It was from Kmart. There's a price tag from Kmart.
Damn,
but
that dates it really well.
It's held together with duct tape, but this little notebook here has got all my recipes in it, all laid out. Whoop! There, I just lost one. The Post-it fell out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like color matching is, I would say it's not as big of a deal as people think it is, because at the end of the day, most people are like, especially in like 40K, it's like pretty basic colors. Like we're talking like reds, blues, greens. And if you just use your eyes, like trust your fucking eyes, right? Mm-hmm. Just try to see it and like match it visually to what you have. One of the most important things you're trying to match without realizing it is the values, right? Like where he got it darker, where he got it brighter. That is ultimately more important than the actual hue that entered the world, right? Like, my suggestion would be like, just whatever you're going to do, make that more of a priority than the actual hue. Hues you can get a lot of greens that look like the same green as long as the values are correct. Where it's dark or where it's bright. There's one for Wyatt.
How to use AK weathering.
For war pigment.
It's a really hard question because there's like a billion different AK weathering products, but really good rule of thumb. Almost every product meant for scale modeling is not meant to be out of the pot, out of the dropper, whatever, and onto the model. You are supposed to thin those so that it is a very subtle effect, and you build up subtle effects one on top of the other to get the thing you want. If you really want to get into that style, because I love using scale modeling techniques on 40K models. I think it gives them a very nice, like real war type look. If you're into that sort of thing, like if you want your repulsor executioner to look like, an M4 Sherman that rolled off the beach of Normandy yesterday, like you can definitely do that and it'll look super cool. Mm-hmm. I just recommend like watching scale modeling videos and watch what those guys do. But yeah, most of the time, like if I'm going to take, I don't know, what's the first thing on my desk? A neutral gray color filter from AK, right? Like this is like gray paint, right? Like, so you are meant to take this enamel paint and put it in a little dish, and then you have some of their thinner and you put that in a separate dish. And then you have a third dish that you mix the two together to get the right consistency so that when you put it on the model, it's very subtle once it dries, and you build that up rather than just putting it on there in one go. Like a lot of, like one and done miniature techniques. It does not work the same way as acrylic paint. So I would just say like, absorb as much information as you can, try to educate yourself by watching scale modeling tech. I still watch it all the time. There's a guy on YouTube called Night Shift. And he is really entertaining, and he makes really, really well done videos with scale modeling armor techniques. So yeah, check him out. and just kind of just learn as you go. But yeah, like you want to thin everything to a very, very diluted consistency before you use it. You'll probably have good results.
Solid advice from our resident scale modeling expert. We got Dorn Jr. in here. It says, favorite black for black metal armor. Wyatt's video using Mecha. Assume he's seen it, but he can't find that around lately.
Okay, so
Vallejo's?
Yeah, so pro tip, Vallejo Mecha line is the same shit as their other paints rebranded. So
not every color, but most of them, yeah.
Like 90% of them.
They have a magenta and a cyan that are more accurately cyan and magenta than their other line is, but outside of that
style. Yeah, so just find like the Vallejo black metal. It literally is if you find like the model air or the model color black metal, it is a black metallic. It's the same paint. Or you can just take like a steel paint and add black to it.
Yeah.
So you get the right consistency. Shout
out to Monument Hobby. We've gone this entire time without mentioning them. They actually sell a metallic medium. So does Vallejo. But when you think of a metallic paint, you're talking about a metallic paint is an effect, right? It's the same pigment, the same acrylic medium, but an effect has been added to the medium to make it look like it's real metal. Effects are when something looks like something it is not.
Right.
It is not fucking metal, but you painted it to look like metal because there's this effect inside the medium. So if you add black paint to silver paint and you blacken up the metal, you will lose out on some of that effect. But you can always add that effect back in if the paint company you're into sells you that bottle of their fucking magic. So as Wyatt mentioned, you can do that. And I do it all the time with Monument Hobbies paints with their metallic medium and their transparents, actually. And that's one of my favorite things about the transparent. Yeah, shameless plug, right? Zenwu had a question for you, Wyatt.
Oh, I don't run Possessed with Death Guard, but if I were, the thing I said earlier was I really like the goofy side of Death Guard. So what I'm personally using is the Blood Bowl models for the Nurgle team. Those can be either Possessed or Chaos Spawn. And I use the zombies as Poxwalkers. Good bases for Necron Destroyers. So
this is from Raul Thomas, and I think specifically he means like the stands, like because don't they have little flight stands?
Oh, the flying stands?
I was just going to say Magnet Baron.
Yeah, he's got...
Because those will not break.
I'm kind of sad I got the first run Custody jet bike stands because they're a little too tall. And I want to get the new ones he did that are a little shorter.
Right.
And just... Because I've already magnetized all the stuff in my bases and the jet bike's already done. I just need like the smaller insert.
I think we missed a question from KR earlier. He wanted to know about somebody who makes Sisters of Silence Rhino doors.
Oh yeah, it's right here.
I always go to Pop Goes the Monkey first.
Well,
any type of vehicle add-on, I always go to him first. And if I can't find it, that probably means nobody makes it.
Well, he also followed up with how do I get someone to make this for me, which is interesting because you've recently contracted someone.
Oh, that's true. KR, KR doesn't have a 3D printer.
Right, but if you can contract someone to make an STL file.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, KR, send me a PM and I'll get you in touch with
But real quick, how do you go through that process? Like, where do you discover an artist to make you something custom?
There's some various groups. There's like a 3D printing for 40K group you can go to. They're not the best people. I'll just be straight up with you. That Facebook group is pretty toxic, but
pretty toxic.
I mean, just go on like somewhere like My Mini Factory or Thingiverse and kind of look around. And if you see an artist that you like, you can always ask them if they do commissions. You can also, what are they called? The Makers Cult is a Patreon group. And they have a Discord that is full of those guys. And their community is pretty positive and pretty good community there. So I recommend them. Now,
just an update. We're doing a hobby AMA section right now. Coming into this in the middle of the section live. That is typically the type of question we're going to cherry pick out of the chat. So
yeah, we're not really talking meta or listy type stuff today.
Just FYI, if you missed an answer to your question, we probably already answered it. Like we did actually cover Green Blood. That was brought up again.
Hey, PJ Pants. What's up, man? Shout out to Gentleman Gaming.
Oh, shout out right there. Here's Jason says, Kenny, how do you feel about using AOS Morghast Harbingers as demon princes? And how would you modify them to be WYSIWYG? Rob, take that one. I feel like you know more about that.
You could use some of the demon prints. The arms, the scale's about the same. But the problem is the demon prince was sculpted in like 2003 or something. And the Morghasts they're relatively new, like 2014. Like whenever they blew up fantasy. So they won't 100% go together, but you could give it the old college try. There isn't much.
I feel like you're going to get some green stuff involved.
But yeah, Flesh Eater Courts are a little bit smaller.
Get good at green stuff, son.
I mean, there's only really 3 options for Demon Prince. It's a claw, a sword, or an axe. So
yep.
One
of those in there.
Good point.
I guess you can give him a big old bolter if you want to buy a warp bolter for 3 points.
And we always don't.
I have sometimes. It's worked for me in the past, but you know.
Well, I usually Death Guard ones don't even get the option. So.
Nah.
Jared says, what's your thoughts on the Skaven Stormfiend kit as a kid bash with Drakari Grotesque? That's a common.
Seen it before.
It is awesome. Fine. It's fucking dope.
Yeah. I wish I could remember the name. All of my Grotesques I actually bought from a game that is no longer in print called like Kings of War or Wrath of Kings, I think is what it's called. Cool Men You're Not liquidated their entire stock of Wrath of Kings to miniature market, and they are super cheap. And there are some guys on there. A number of them are really good for grotesques, and you get like 6 models for $30 in a box. So I recommend using those because it's cheap and they look cool, and you know.
That's always an awesome score. Cletus comes in here and he says, "What about moving to a new paint line like Monument when all your recipes are based on other lines?"
So you need that PDF converter. There's a really good. I mean, you can do a Google search for it. It'll probably come up with spiky bits, but really, I think we just kind of took the same PDF from that people have been putting around Reddit and Daka. That compares most of the major lines. Yeah. Pro Rackroll doesn't have. They have their swatches, but they don't have a conversion.
Well, they're not really meant to do that. They're more of a higher cerebral type thing where it's like if you want a dark red, like mix a dark red, man.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Later on, they did obviously in their expansions come out with actual burnt reds and stuff like that. But yeah, I would say it's actually a lot easier, Cletus, if it's like your fucking paint jobs that you do. And then you left that to a new company and you got to match it. That's actually really fucking easy. Cause like I say, if you did some Blood Angels and you use Mephiston red and Evil Sun Scarlet and you know those are your fucking colors, all you gotta do is take a few minutes to really just break down why you use those reds or like why those reds are unique. And you'll be able to see them in any other red, like, oh, okay, the Evil Sun Scarlet Red is a red that has like a touch of yellow or orange in it. And that's why it's a little bit more exciting and slightly brighter. You know, so that's like, just use your eyes and make those decisions and then use your same workup and you'll probably have very similar results. But you know what? At the end of the day, you're never going to be able to 100% like one company's paint job to another company's product. It's not going to be perfect ever.
I think Pro Acrylic will eventually have a pretty good lineup of those paints that are, you know, really hard to find. Like they're really kind of working their way through. Like there's a couple in that line that I only use in different lines because they're the only ones that make it. So now I'm like, well, I'll just start using the Pro Acrylics, but I got so many recipes in my 1980s notebook over there that like I would have to switch over way too many paints. So for me, it's kind of not worth it on that scale. But if I started a new project from scratch, I would totally just probably jump in with mostly Pro Acrylic, depending on what it was. But
yeah, I mean, I got to a point about 3 months ago where I was like, I have literally too many paints. and I don't use a third of them because I have started using pro acryls, just because they're just so much nicer for everything. And I've left behind the days of like, I need this specific shade of red from this company to do this thing. And I've shifted more to like, I want a dark red. So I'm just going to mix up a dark red for this thing. And if you're like, I want to have this one color shade for an entire army, well, Jason sells mixer bottles. So you just mix up that color into a bottle, and then you have a whole bottle of paint, right? That's part of their selling model. And I literally just like threw away all those other paints because I don't need.
Oof, don't do that. Give them the.
I throw away more paint every quarter.
I did give away a lot of stuff. Don't worry, Rob. So yeah, basically the only thing I have on my desk right now is pro acryl, some scale 75 metallics, and
those are great.
AK stuff. Like I just use a lot of AK stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly,
somebody asked about AK true metals.
Ooh.
I have not used the true metals, but I do have a video where I recently picked up and tried out the extreme.
Who asked?
Extreme
metal
Mildfire 83. I painted a Necron dude with these extreme metals. And they're just an enamel. There's enamel paint. AK, and they're real nice. Like that shit looks like he is made of metal. Like it is really cool. So like check that video out. I really like them. I do not know anything about the true metals. I have not used those.
Enamels will do that, man. They're fucking pretty amazing.
Oh, they're real good.
On the subject of the paints, I just did this project with P3s, and I remember always like thinking they were like the best back in the day, and it'd been a while since.
Well, they were when it was like them, Vallejo, or.
And it's funny the evolution. Like the first time we got a paint that wasn't GW, we're like, oh, suck it as a dick, right? And now that like kind of we have lots of options, I've kind of come back to realize Citadel's not that bad. Like honestly, as a medium to pigment like quality ratio, it's actually above average in both categories. I find Vallejo paints to be wildly inconsistent, but beautiful as fuck. And P3 was kind of like the best of like the all comers. I remember that for a while, and I've come back to them after being gone on this journey with Monument paints for this huge extended period of time, which I think are the ultimate paints. And I find P3 to be a close second. Revisit.
I do like P3. I every time I go to the store, I see their rack of P3 paints, and I kind of like, do I want to get some? And then I'm like, nah, because they'll just sit there. But they're good too. I like those.
I find usually just a close second, and they got
they're nice. Yeah,
they're good.
If somebody asks me like what type of paints to get into, I always tell them the same thing. And this is like a pretty good rule of thumb for the industry. Every paint company has some of their line is absolute trash. Do not buy them. Some of their line is industry average and are pretty okay. Some are industry above average and are what I would consider good paints. And then some have really, really baller paints. But just about every company you can think of that sells paints for scale models or miniatures conforms to that kind of thing, right? Like lacquers and enamels are a bit different. Their consistency is uniform because of the way those work. But like with acrylic paints, if it's like Citadel or Army Painter or Reaper or P3, Pro Acryl, Scale 75, like all that stuff, like that same rule generally applies. But I have found through over a year of extensive use that Pro Acryl does not have very many bad paints, if any.
No.
I would say like
they have a lower percentage of the not as cool.
That would be like the one exception, I think. Whereas everybody else, and I've tried almost all of them. Like there's some really obscure paint companies from like Europe that I have not tried. That some people are like, oh, have you tried these? Have you tried these? I'm like, well, no, it's because they only sell them in France or something. But I would say for, if you can get them on the internet, I've tried almost all of them, and the only exception to that rule has been Pro Acryl.
Remind you of my hobbies. Phaser has a question. Who makes decent third-party Necron minis? You've seen a bunch, but he's been like, meh. Actually, I don't know about.
The only thing I can think of is Wargame exclusive, but they only have a
some.
couple of characters. That's all. They don't have. They might have
some flayed ones.
They have some immortals that are pretty cool. That have like cloaks, like tattered cloaks on them. That
Yep.
where you can just put the GW arms onto
Yep.
the models. But I think it's other characters otherwise. I don't really know otherwise. I don't play Necrons.
Wargames exclusive is always a good bet to peruse their store and get lost in their fucking. They have some
Ridiculous amount of stuff.
phenomenal shit that you can discover. And
So much stuff.
And Kaz comes in and he asks about using more than one style of paints, i.e., like the Army Painter or Pro Acrylic. Question doesn't have like enough data for me, but there shouldn't be. There should never be a problem with like a style associated with the paint. Like paints are
Water-based acrylic is.
Yeah. Suspended in an acrylic medium, and so
obviously you cannot mix an acrylic with an enamel. Those will not mix, so you can't do that. But yes, you can mix Army Painter and Pro Acryl or Citadel and Army Painter, etc. Do any of you guys have your very first hobby model? You still hang? I think Rob is the.
Is that a question from chat?
Yeah, it's from Viking Beard.
I have some of my early stuff. I don't have my first model. I used enamel paints on. I got super mad. We've all been there.
My very first 40K model, I thought I was super slick because I was painting some iron snakes. I was like, I know they're gray plastic. Their armor is gray, so I'll only paint the stuff that has color to it with Tester's enamel paints and no thinner.
Yes.
It was glorious.
Yep.
That's the Orc Prize question. Any tips on Tester's enamels?
Nope.
Don't use them.
There's literally they don't, I don't know why they fucking exist. There's under no circumstances that necessary.
Yeah. I use like some of the lacquer sprays that you can still find just to base stuff.
Those shitty little pots of little crappy enamels though, with those.
Yeah.
It's utterly useless.
They don't even make those anymore. They're gone.
Good.
Got rid of them all. Yeah. Somebody was asking about a seafoam gray recipe. There's this really good book, and you might still be able to find them on eBay. It's Horus Heresy painting the Burning of Prospero, where they have paint schemes for all 18 legions. And I think they had some PDFs on their site too. But this is a really good book to pick up if, it's relatively inexpensive on eBay. I'm not sure. I've seen them on there for like $5-10 because right about this time, GW went to doing all the YouTubes with Duncan and stuff, and they stopped doing like imprint how to paint books. But there's a seafoam one in here for the Alpha Legion. I could send you a picture of it if you Facebook me, but it's just basically like, Sotek green and Waywatcher green and stuff, Temple Guard blue. That looks pretty fresh. So that might be something that you're looking for. Unless you guys have like one of those mixes off the top of your head.
Well, here's something I do all the time. I do this in my private classes with students all the time. But if you own Photoshop, I mean, honestly, if you just have $10 a month subscription to Creative Cloud, you should. Like, Photoshop is super fucking handy, not only for just having fun, but like even in our hobby. If you understand that primary colors are CMY, like that's the actual primary colors, and everything comes from that. And you can get pretty close to figuring out how things are done just through color sampling pictures. Like, for example, I was just helping my friend Ryan out with his Horus Heresy Sons of Horus color scheme. This is my fucking color. This is the one I want. I just don't know like how to go darker, how to go brighter. Like everything is just kind of confusing. We've been working on it for a while, so I was like, all right, hold on a second. Just hold up the pot. Screenshotted it, threw it in Photoshop, color selected it, revealed the CMYK formula for it. And so I was like, now you can see that this color is these percentages of the actual primary colors of life. So if you just bought that color that you like, and you also bought like pretty accurate cyan, magenta, and yellow, like, and I discovered that you can get that through ink, or actually we mentioned Mecha earlier. The Vallejo Mechas actually have a pretty close CMY formula. You can just manipulate the base color, like a seafoam color, with just cyan, magenta, and yellow, playing around with the Photoshop slider to see like, oh, that is the perfect color. And then look at the slider and see what changed on the CMY level. And that can kind of give you a framework on how to like add to the base recipe to get that exciting and saturated color you're looking for while still being darker or brighter. So like that's something I do all the time. I do it like almost every day. I have a moment like that in Photoshop.
I got
a shout out Cletus. Cletus says Rob melted his first model to make musket rounds for the war effort. That is a true ass fact.
Does that mean you Mel Gibson in The Patriot?
It does. Yes, that's a fact.
Oh, okay, cool.
The science.
Also, Fishface Frank wants Kenny to say a Juggalo line.
Are you down with the clown?
Yeah.
That's it. It's one of a dozen I know off the top of my head.
Let's see. I know Kenny likes Reaper paints.
I don't like Reaper. I like a couple of, as you mentioned earlier,
colors.
There's a couple of phenomenal colors from their Master Series line.
Right.
Harvest Brown, Orange Brown, and that gold.
Some of the metals.
What was that gold we mentioned, Rob?
Ancient gold.
Ancient gold. And ancient bronze. Ancient bronze and ancient gold.
Their silver triad's pretty good too. The true silver, tarnished steel, and
that was our shit back in the day. I haven't used those colors in 6 years, so that's how.
Yeah, referring to my previous statement, they got some don't buy them. So they got some okays, they got some goods, and they got
You got a choice pick these. But the triads are good. Like if you see them on the shelf somewhere.
Expect. I am 100% a try it out guy. Just so you know.
Yeah. Yeah, that Caraquay says Pro Acrylics have basically taken over everything I paint except Scale 75 Golds and a few other metallics great paint. I have a love-hate relationship with Scale 75.
Me too.
The thing that you find desirable about them is 99% the matteness of their medium, which makes paint application highly sticky and rewarding and easy. But that also simultaneously makes it more difficult to glaze and wet blend without seeing tide lines. So while they have this incredibly like lacquered, like sticky feeling, I find myself leaving them behind like daily because of these more advanced techniques.
Let's see. I think it's IK959 says, where do you guys find bits for WYSIWYG weapons and stuff?
Oh, this is a website called spikybiz.com. Oh, wait, hold on.
No.
Oh, no.
That was Battle Wagon.
Oh, no. We got the old C&D on that one. There's a number of them. I mean, I'm always going to go to Matt over at Pop Goes the Monkey. Yeah. Cromlech makes good bits. Spellcrow makes good bits. Puppets War makes good bits. There's a billion. Yeah.
Depending on what you're trying to do, maybe 3D print some if you find the freebies.
Yep.
Or Pride coming in with another good jab. Rob, what are you gonna do with all that future floor wax if you go to Pro Acryl?
I still have the bottle I bought that I was using years ago. It turns out if you put that in smaller bottles with like a dropper top and leave them around the house, they'll attract things like fleas or fruit flies. If you have a problem with them, they'll just I have them by the cat litter.
So just like a container of poison.
Yeah,
just chill. Got it. Caraquay says it's like he's kind of throwing a dig at me because I shit on his Scale 75. He's like, it's like Army Painter washes were the shit than Mr. Hobby. I use Army Painter washes every day. I use Mr. Hobby like once a month. Like it's not
Mr. Hobby stuff.
Multi-black is amazing, but it's not right for every project for me.
I still with my students. I still tell them that if you're doing an army, go with the Army Painter washes. If you're doing a character, go with Mr. Hobby, because the time investment to blend out the Mr. Hobby stuff is just too much for an entire army. Army Painter washes are still legit.
And Kara Quinn's question about making your own washes for terrain. Rob has it in that notebook. His old Necronomicon back there.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a bunch of
what's your recipe?
Mediums and things. Mine is it was the old Future Floor Wax, but somebody was saying in chat, and I was going to recommend this. Luke's APS channel has how to make big buckets of this stuff for doing terrain. Call them shit wash and stuff. That's the way to go.
I actually saw something the other day that AK makes that was wash medium or wash compact. I don't remember. It comes like it's not in a bottle or a pot. It's literally in like a little tiny plastic gas can. And it was like, you can take this and add just like a drop of paint to it, and it makes a wash out of that color. And it was like $4. So that's probably another good one. If you're trying to do something really big, you just take some of that really cheap stuff, a couple of drops of your nice paint, and make like a whole bunch of wash from it for your terrain. I just don't remember what exactly the title of it was called, but it was an AK product.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either.
But yeah, you can't miss it. It's literally in like a little jerry can, like a plastic jerry can, gas can looking container.
That's gangster.
I was like, ooh, what is this? Is some kind of like cool? And it was like, nope, you got to add paint to this. I was like, dead to me. But if you're doing a lot of stuff you don't really care about all that much, like terrain, then yeah, it's probably pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Rob, though, for real though, how did you make that wash? Future floor wax?
I feel like Rob doesn't want to tell anybody.
Why? I feel like he's trying not to tell me because he's got some secret in there.
It's like some proprietary.
What's your ratio, dog? Like, what's your secret?
I don't remember.
Look it up.
Probably 50-50.
We're gonna make him get the book out. This is what I wanted. I want this book. He's had this book the entire time I've known him.
This book is from the 80s.
For the record, I did not know him in the 80s.
So that's true.
Yeah, that book is probably older than I am.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's fucking crazy.
Here it is. Okay, so it's half part water, quarter part future floor wax, and a quarter part those golden. Remember the old golden washes? Golden?
Yeah.
You could get in the stores. So either a wash or like
ink.
Yeah, or you could use a medium and then put your own ink in, whichever you wanted to. I don't know if I'd use something like that these days. I mean, because they've changed. It's not future floor wax. It's like Pledge with Future now. So like if you're looking for that, but this worked really good. Because it's mostly water. So
that's your Grail book. That thing is gangster, dude.
Yeah,
it's like falling apart. It's got like Post-its in here.
You need to have somebody transcribe that in very flowery Civil War era cursive and then bind it.
It's like grandma's cookbook.
LK959, building up some terrain to have RTTs. What's the best route? MDF or DIY? DIY is fast and cheap, but it will not last at all and does not look very good. So if you're asking my opinion, I'm going to tell you go with an MDF company and get terrain that is useful. Like personally, I don't care how terrain looks. I care if it is functional. And unfortunately, 90% of all terrain sold is not functional. It's not useful in the bounds of the rules, but it does look really cool. So look at the rules for, I'm assuming 40K if you're doing an RTT, and find out what parameters make up for useful terrain. I think that a small footprint ruin that is at least 5 inches tall. So I would say a small footprint is maybe like 6 by 6 inches, 6 by 6 square inches, about 7 inches tall, is the best ones. You want a bunch of those. And anything that is the size of like a shipping container, like you can buy the GW ones. Those are really expensive for a plastic box, but you can kind of see what they're about, like a Connex or shipping container. Lots of companies make those. If you want to go the DIY route, I do not remember the name of the company, but there is one where you can make soda cans into terrain using little MDF pieces to make little obstacles and things like that. I think small footprint ruins and obstacles are the best type of terrain to have in 9th edition.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like MDF over his two options. Yep.
I'd say MDF. And I mean, like, I wish I could remember the name of that company, because those ones where you use like soda cans to make pieces of terrain are actually really cool because it's super cheap and it's just little pieces of MDF that you pop out and glue onto the soda cans and then paint. And it looks like an oil container or a shipping container and things like that.
Baller, you got anything to close us out on, Rob? Kind of come to the end of our scroll on our hobby AMA.
That was a good one. I'm still waiting on my Custodes t-shirt, Kenny.
I've been ignoring that comment the entire time.
I know.
Yeah. Blaze wants that Custodes t-shirt, man.
He's not the only one.
Fuck, I want a Custodes t-shirt. Make it Custodes. I'm still waiting on my Ultramarines t-shirt. Come to think of it, where is that one? I even gave you the design.
You did.
Didn't even do it.
Did not.
It's like he doesn't even care about us sometimes.
Oh my God. I obviously care about you guys. My workflow and laziness factor is not a direct, it has no correlation to my love for you two.
That's fair. No, I really don't have anything else like per se, but
oh my God. End this show.
Right.
All right, so that's it for this one. Haspil isn't here tonight. He should be back next week. So make sure you head on over to thelongwar.net for exclusive content, early access videos, and more. Become a veteran of Long War today.